Have you had those unexpected surprises show up for you? Those surprises that you couldn't have imagined? What a coincidence, right? Well, I describe those as serendipity. It's the universe, a higher power, whatever you want to call it, shining on you, showing you a way to move forward. I think of serendipity as really an opportunity. After I talk with people about serendipity, and it's something they haven't thought much of in the past, they reach out to me later and say, Linda, I'm seeing serendipity all the time. When you see serendipity in your life, I want you to look at it in a new way. I want you to see it as an opportunity for you to take action. For me, I'm a big fan of the law of attraction. And with the law of attraction, those last 6 letters are action. So I encourage people, when you see those moments of serendipity, think of it as an opportunity. That's when you have an option in your life to take the option, make the change, and take action, moving forward in a way that was unexpected. I have guests I want to introduce you to. I can't wait for you to hear some of the stories I've already recorded. And this is episode number 1. I'm glad you're here. Join me on this journey. I want to hear your serendipity stories too. So let's dive in. My first guest is Charly Caldwell. Charly and I met over 5 years ago when we attended a conference together. And I went to this conference not knowing anyone. And that is really outside my normal behavior. I'm the person that wants to show up with friends with me and have that comfort, but I was truly out of my comfort zone at this. I went to a personal development conference and met Charly, and Charly has been a coach since then. I've been working with him for quite a long time. People ask me, if you're a coach, if you're a trainer, if you're an entrepreneur, who should your coach be? Well, I'm introducing you to mine right here in episode 1. It's that important to me because I want you to get the coaching that I get. And I love that Charly and I share this joy of serendipity. It was an honor for me to invite him to be my first guest on the podcast. I'm very excited to share with you Charly Caldwell. He has some amazing stories to share. And what I love is his love of serendipity and how he took advantage of those moments, those important moments, to pivot, to see this serendipity moment as something more than just, oh, isn't that cool? But something to take action on. And Charly has done it over and over, and he has quite a few stories to share. I can't wait to share them with you. Grab your notes and let's go. Hello, Charly. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's such an honor to be on this journey with you. And I thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to see you too.
Sure. We have been working together for 5 years, maybe. It sounds about right. Yeah. Thank you for supporting me on my journey of living my dream and making it real. And here we are. We've come so far. As you know, I've talked with a lot of people over the years about serendipity, and they kept saying to me, Linda, when are you going to do that thing about serendipity? Well, here it is. I'm making it real. Thanks for being with me, Charly. We are talking about serendipity stories. Yeah. And the more I interact with people, the more I learn that I'm not the only one with these big serendipity moments. There are great stories out there. So, Charly, what do you want to share with me today?
The first thing I want to share with you is one of my favorite movies is Serendipity. It has John Cusack in it and Kate Beckinsale. And when you said to me early on about the idea of serendipity in the world of what you're trying to go after in serendipity stories, it really, really resonated with me. And I love that. So it's just an honor to be here because it's like when you really get to what you and I teach as part of our high performance work, the idea of coincidence and like intuition and like, how did that universe, I see you. I love those moments and I love recollecting and I love seeing that happen. And I've got a lot of interesting serendipitous type things and coincidental things that I'd love to share today. So that's kind of the background of it. Does that answer your question so far?
Yes. And there are, I'm starting to label these different buckets of types of serendipity. So
yeah, okay.
You can help me start to label some of these. One of them that I have is angels and heroes.
Oh, I love that.
It is either when we step into someone else's life and we feel like we were put there at a moment to be their angel or hero, or someone steps into our life in one of those moments.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that that comes to mind for you?
Yeah. I the older that I get, and just so we have a frame, I'll be turning 50 this year. And I take that age, every year around my birthday, I get very reflective. And when I think through the lens of angels and heroes, I think about, and I've shared this with you many times, I believe you've heard me say this. My mom's parents, my grandparents, they were the angels and hero for me in a major way growing up. And I didn't realize it when I was younger, because it's like, isn't everybody's grandparents like that? They were the ones that really inspired me around having the traits, qualities, and characteristics of unconditional love, compassion, and care through the lens of serendipity. Whenever I needed it, it felt like there was a life lesson brought to me through them. Oh, guidance. There'd be a big situation coming up, middle school, high school, these kind of things. And then they would just reflect on something that would kind of quench that thirst, answer that, give me insight, perspective, and going after the better version of me, or recognizing, hey, this is happening to you for a reason, So the angels and heroes, the big ones in my life, definitely my grandparents. And then there's a couple of mentors in life too that I've had who played really critical roles for me. One of them was Craig Colston, rest in peace. He's the guy who acknowledged that I had an interest in computers. This is 1987 when my mom bought a computer for him. And I went to him and I just said, Craig, if you need help building these computers and you can teach me, I'll be your best employee, I promise. And he was a hero for me. And he just said, yeah, go for it. And then he gave me like almost free reign of that company. 2 years later, he said, take this thing over, not financially, but from the management side, and grow and go. And that was everything towards me being able to retire. I didn't share this part of my story yet, but the idea that I retired when I was 29, October of 2000, because at the beginning of the 90s, I was empowered by these angels and heroes. So I just hope that kind of paints a frame here where this can go and what we can talk through. Is that helpful?
Yes, I love that you shared that you retired, but a lot of people would look at you right now and think, this is not retirement.
Yeah.
Because you're living your dream. And that is a big part of what I talk with people about. I don't have any sort of a sitting on a porch in a rocking chair retirement. I want to do what I love. So tell us more about you striving for your dream life.
Yeah, and it ties right into the serendipity part of life.
Exactly.
It's so crazy. I'm getting chills just thinking this out. Is that when I got clear after retirement, it was fun to get a big motorhome because I wanted to be a truck driver when I was a kid. And then it came around, big motorhome. I'm driving basically a big truck, the big box bus type. And then we had a Jeep on the back and we're traveling. And then I recognized as time went on that something was missing from my life. And although I couldn't describe and articulate what it felt to be purposeful then, like I can now because of the work you and I do in high performance, I was able to say this: I really need to work with people. I need a constant connection to others. And I love technology. So when I paired those two things and rebooted, unretired, if you will, in 2002, Internet Services Group, one of my companies, was born that did that exact thing, helped people with technology to have an online presence that was healthy. And I got to work with people and be connected towards a bigger purpose for them, helping them share their message to help them improve other people's lives or grow other people's businesses, depending on if they were a B2B, business to business, or B2C kind of company, business to consumer kind of company. And so it's just me dialing that in, but recognizing it. And it's the thing that was amazing, and this is a big serendipity story I want to make sure I share, is that so picture this: we get in a motorhome in Michigan. That's where I sold the company. We drive around the eastern part of the US for, I think it was a year. And we get down to Florida, and my boss from a company I worked at before I worked with Craig was the owner of this company I worked for, lives down here, and him and I had become good friends over the years. And he goes, Char, I'd love to take you and your wife out to dinner. And he said that this is the premonition. He said, Char, the day you get bored being retired, which he thought was silly when I said that. He's an older gentleman. He goes, let me know, because I got two people that you need to meet that'll kickstart your whatever business you want to get into down here, whether it's real estate or back into internet development and all that. And 6 months later, I said, hey, his name's Chary. I said, Chary, about those people. He goes, I already got them set up. Here's the call. Went in there and it kicked it in. Now imagine, I created a relationship up in Michigan. We come down here to Fort Myers, Florida, and I just reached out to him. He goes, Karen, his wife's Karen. Carrie and I are going to take you out to dinner. And then, boom. My mom taught me early on, never burn any bridges.
Absolutely.
And then this whole piece of the connection, just, it felt so random, but it was so powerful. And I single-handedly tell him that because of those connections, he connected me with the biggest commercial real estate developer in Southwest Florida, who also has passed away since. Because we did that website and built it, all these other people, we had instant street cred, even out of the industry of commercial real estate. Does that make sense?
Oh,
But
absolutely.
it's that, just that. So any thoughts, insights from what I just shared?
Well, the key thing that jumps out at me when I talk with people about serendipity is a moment or an experience or a connection that plants a seed with you, and then it's up to you to take action. You know, I love the law of attraction. When I read the book The Secret, it's like my life changed. But what I share with people is those last 6 words in the phrase law of attraction is action. So he gave you the contacts and you took the action. To me, that's really important because I see serendipity moving to opportunity.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's exactly what that was too. Is there was I guess you and I are that way about the rocking chair thing. There's a part of us that needs to be taken action. Now, don't get me wrong. I love to go walk the beach and sit on the beach for a while, but I'm not one to sit and just chill for a day on the beach. I'm usually walking and listen to a audio book or some really inspiring music or just to the waves, right? But I'm in motion, and the action part of it, I couldn't sit on that. You know, I was like, I really got to get dialed back into my purpose. And I remember saying, universe, what have you got for me? And then it was within a week we had that dinner. And the next thing you got is this idea of seed being planted. And then a few months later, me taking action on that seed. So I love how this all connects.
The conversations I have with people about serendipity, often it wasn't really anything on their radar before. And after I talk with them, I get text messages and I get emails saying, oh my gosh, I'm seeing it everywhere, because now they're attuned to it. And I say it was there the whole time, but they weren't paying attention. That meant opportunities, especially if you're a business owner. Opportunities are slipping through your fingers. If there's someone that gives you an opportunity like Charly you had, and you take action. I laugh at the history for myself of when I had the little whisper and the intuition and I didn't act on it. And now I look back and say I wasn't ready. Those were all learning lessons. I have learned to take action now. So what about you and taking action when you feel that inspiration?
August 1st, 2005. Let me think about this. 2006. Yeah, it was August 1st, 2005, if I remember right. Yeah, so August 1st, 2005, a girl named Sue, who I regarded as somebody who was more of an intuit, like she had a very intuition. She would have we call it an instinct, and she'd follow it, and it would turn out for her. Time after time, it would turn out for her. And I remember this is way before high performance for me, like understanding that there's a deeper level or maybe a universal thing going on here. This is just like, why is everything working out for her? Because she was so clear about her identity, who she wanted to be, what she wanted from the law of attraction kind of work, what she wanted to attract, what she didn't want to attract. She said these words to me, Chart, you just need to follow your gut. And that was in the previous August 1st, 2005. So we saw, and I took this was a huge risk at the time, to develop an internet service provider business. And I remember walking up the stairs to the courthouse. Back then you couldn't do it online because it wasn't here just yet. And signing the papers for this company, Internet Services of Michigan Incorporated. I was scared out of my mind, but I knew deep down I needed to take action on the intuition within and give it a go, because I'd regret it if I didn't. And you already know the outcome. That's the same business.
Right.
Since October 10th of 2000, literally 5 years and 3 months later, that sold, and I was able to retire from. So it was like this idea that there was guidance from Sue. I heard it, let it marinate, went and took the action, which was, I required when people ask, like, what's the most courageous you've been in your life? Like, what time in your life were you the most courageous? It was then. Because we had to come up with $40,000 and I had $3,000 in savings. just for the equipment and the
Wow.
contractual stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work, but you and I teach this now, and it's easy to reflect on now. I believe in my ability to figure things out, but I took the chance. I went after it. My wife at the time and I just said, we're going all in on this, or beyond all in, if that makes sense. And we did it, and we had to make it work. And boy, did it. And outside of that, through what you shared with the angels and heroes and the seed being planted, we affected change in our community to the thousands as they got on the internet and recognized there was a bigger world. So the effect of change and positive growth for others was the manifestation of that over time. People were just like living their dream through the power of the internet, which was just, the World Wide Web was just gaining momentum in 2005 and 6, right? So I just want to make sure I shared that part of the story. Any thoughts with what I just shared?
It just brings out the importance I talk about is being authentic.
Yeah.
The book that I'm working on, Dusting Off Your Dreams, How to Share Your Authentic Self with the World. Authentic is so key. After I became certified as a coach, I spent 2 years trying to be my mentor. And I did everything I was trained to do. And I realized after 2 years, I was great at my skills. That's awesome. But I wasn't being authentically me because my mentor already existed. And it was time for me to be fully me. And people kept saying to me, Linda, when are you going to go out and do this serendipity thing you're talking about? And I got here I am. But I had a lot of education I learned along the way. And what's important to me are the stories that we tell each other. So this is serendipity stories, but the stories we tell each other in our heads as a result of maybe a wrong turn. So is there anything, Charly, for you that you would like to share about when it felt like you took a wrong turn or something bad happened and you turned it into something good, or a serendipity moment turned it around for you?
Yes. So it was in, thinking about this, 2005. So, let me correct, August 1st, 2005. That was August 1st of 1995. And we sold the business in 2000. I think I said August 1st, 2005. That's why my brain was freaking out a little bit. But it was in the 2005 where, because of my parents going through a divorce when I was in my teens, 15, I had all this baggage around the negative, neutral, just toxic part of what a divorce could be. And their divorce wasn't that bad if you hear some of the stories. And in 2005, I felt like I was going down the wrong turn, getting divorced with 2 girls that were 2 and 4. And what the shift was, and I'm so blessed to be able to tell you that Heather, Dale, and Paul, who were my coaches at the time, through a coaching process called Action Coach, Brad Sugars out of Australia developed this, were there for me to help me understand. And this is such a critical saying about serendipity and about positive forward vision, is to have a positive belief expectation and remove the baggage of what I had and shift that. So Heather challenged me to write about and articulate, like journal, which was kind of new for me at the time. This is 2005, 2006, which we teach this. But back then I was like, what is that? I don't even know. Why is that gonna be helpful? But she said, talk about the vision of what you see from the very best dream of how you want to experience life with your girls after this. And immediately I had a vision of a high-rise condo instead of a house with a lot of responsibility, with very minimal things. In my vision, we were by a park. And I grew up where I had to mow the lawn and handle maintenance and all this stuff. So all the maintenance is taken care of. All the lawn is mowed. It's a beautiful big park. And we're in a high-rise condo, and when they're with me during our shared time, that we just lock the door and go experience life. Not watch dad mow the lawn, but we go and we experience life. And as soon as I had that vision, this condo development was being built, and it just hit getting their CO, certificate of occupancy. And I'm standing in that vision today, 15 years later after I moved in. So the shift of this bomb being dropped with all this baggage of neutral, negative, toxic energy, just from my history of recognizing what divorce can be, to realizing like a phoenix coming out of the ashes. This is the next step for you. There's a video on YouTube that I have, and maybe we can link to it in the show notes. I'll send it to you. Of the very first time, it was July of 2006, where I recognized the freedom that my girls and I had in the videos of them dancing and me and talking to them. And they're like babies, like, Dad, my favorite place is Chick-fil-A. When I was saying, what's your favorite place to eat? And I called the video free because it was the freedom realized from what felt like just a bomb being dropped in my life. Like the lowest of the low to the, and then I'm just flying along at this vision. And of course, as you know, Linda, I've converted this room into a studio where I just lit it up, mounted lights on the wall, and we got teaching and whiteboarding and everything else. And it's been, thousands of hours of videos have been recorded in here. So does that help articulate what you're looking for?
It does. You talked about the vision. I love that. It's very hard to go toward a dream if you don't have some sort of a vision. So you talk about having it in your head. Is there anything that you created that was concrete that you could look at or touch, any kind of vision board or dream board or anything that you did?
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that. I still have the sketchbook. So a great friend of mine, my best friend from high school, John, his wife had a kind of passion for interior design. And to keep in mind, I never did any of that. That was always my wife's thing. She was the designer, the furniture, everything else. I come into this place, and if you ever read Steve Jobs' story, like he was not afraid to buy furniture, but he'd keep things bare until it was the right thing in the right place. Mm-hmm. So for the first 6 months here, the walls were white and there were no window treatments. And I had my essentials. I had a comfy bed, a big screen TV, a card table with fold-out chairs, like folding chairs. And I'd move that around because I was afraid to get anything. And so Jennifer is her name. She said, Char, go to Barnes & Noble, which is, by the way, across the street down a little bit. Get all the interior design books you can and just start cutting out what you like. Just start cutting out what you like. And because of that exercise, and then my grandpa and I, we used to draw houses, like architecturally, just for fun. He was a draftsman. And I drew out, and I still have these sketches, exactly what the rooms would look like. And then I used those cutouts to get the color in, what felt comfortable, what it would be in this room and that room. And that's what we created. So the visioning process of that was going, and I don't know why I didn't think of this, but going to Barnes & Noble, getting the books, cutting things out, that would be cool in this room. That'd be cool here. And it's still to this day, I think there's only one room we've changed. Everything else is exactly what it was 15 years ago. And it still feels fresh and relevant to me. Mm-hmm. So does that kind of flesh that out a little bit?
Oh, yeah. So the vision board, I love that you had that. You created it both in your life and you created it in your business. Now, a different sort of board I talk about with people is a decision board.
Oh, I like that.
So for you to make your dreams come to life, what are the big decisions that you had to make and commit to?
Yeah, the biggest decision I had to make, this is so emotional for me to even share, was the decision to be the best, most purposeful, loving, caring, compassionate, communicative dad I could be. I would have to say before 2006, when I made the big shift, beginning of 2006, I was kind of the distracted dad. And it wasn't that I was always like neutral or negative. That wasn't the case. I was just distracted. Mm-hmm. And I said, if the decision is, or the belief is, that my children are my only real legacy, what does that change? What behaviors and decisions do I need to make to live into that? And that's the manifestation of having a place of experience where I'd lock the door and we go, versus stuff where we're trying to maintain stuff, mm-hmm. where we got too much stuff. So the first decision was I had to be the best dad I could be. The actions that followed that live into what we created and manifested. The second decision was, how do I want to really step up and serve now? And that came, the idea seeded in 2007 and 8, but came to fruition in 2011 when I first met Brendon Burchard through his work, our master coach in high performance coaching, and then got into high performance master's course. So the decision of growth for me, I know in 2010, I was feeling stagnant. And then my coach, I hadn't seen her in a while. We hadn't been coaching. Heather said, Char, let's go out to lunch. I think it was in February 2011 or 2012. And we went out to lunch. On the way out of the lunch, she said, oh, by the way, go look up Brendon Burchard. I think you'll like his work. And I still have that in my calendar, that date. And I was like, okay. And I remember taking a few days and then I put it in, I Googled him. The next thing you know, I was like engrossed in this big high performance thing. And it changed my life quick. So two big decisions. One was being really clear that I wanted to be the best dad I could be, and what that meant. Two, that I had to stick on the growth path. And I think the third decision that I made, as I think about it, was my life is of service to others. And I really need to double down on that. So what does that mean? When you look at my schedule today versus 10, 15 years ago, it's of service to others 90% of the time. Now I have my own time blocks for me to do what I want to do, but it's of service massively. Whether that's, in sessions like this or coaching sessions or videos that we're creating, those kind of things. Or just supporting people online through emails and texts and stuff like that. So does that help kind of flesh that out?
Sure. Well, a serendipity moment for me was meeting you.
Yay!
I go to my first Brendan Burchard event. I don't know a soul. I was just following my desire for personal growth.
Yeah.
Saw an opportunity to go to an event. Don't know anybody. And that very first morning of the first event, I'm in a group with you. And I'm talking with you.
That.
You're already a certified high performance coach. I want to be one. I'm talking to you all about it. And now we've been working together for years. Like I said, I spent my first 2 years of being a coach trying to be Brendan, and then realizing he's got that covered. He's good. Linda, you go your way.
Yeah. I love what you just shared, because it is forming our own identity and bringing, as you and I teach in creative expression, one of our sessions, is really understanding our uniqueness and then overcoming. And I don't think this was a thing for you, but the ability to share that uniqueness with the world. Like just not caring. I'm going to go in and share my uniqueness. If you like me, great. If you don't, that's fine too. To live into the second agreement, the 4 agreements. Don't take anything personally. To really go after that. I love that serendipity moment. Very, very powerful.
Yes, you are one of the angels and heroes in my journey. So thank you so much for all you have helped me with in my business. It means so much to me. And stories, though, I know you have some really good serendipity stories, and I've clued you in on this beforehand. So what are some key ones you want to share?
There's 3 that come to mind that were earlier in my life that were just freaky for me earlier in my life. The first was when I was in 7th grade, I went to a church camp and ended up finding and dating this girl named Tara, Tara. And we dated, I think, for like a year. And then in 11th grade, my second real girlfriend, if you want to say it that way, was Elizabeth. So Tara and Elizabeth. And I meet my future wife, and guess what her name is? Tara Elizabeth. Like, I remember looking at, because we were looking at a driver's license. I don't know why we're looking at a driver's license. I'm looking at it going, and I probably knew it, but it didn't hit me until I saw it. And I'm just telling you, it's giving me chills. I was like, what? Because those names in that time wasn't like exactly popular.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I had to sit with that for a little bit. I was like, whoa, that's amazing. Like, I just felt like I was in alignment, and the universe is just dropping things. Hey, because I'm paying attention to it. Some people are like, well, that's just, whatever. I'm like, no, that's a message. And that was really powerful. So that's one of them. The second was after we made the big trip in the motorhome, we land here in Fort Myers, and the first thing we did was get a PO box. And we went into the post office, and they have 10,000 PO boxes, 10,000. And we just get randomly assigned one. And it was 9271, the year we were married and the year I was born. And just telling you that, I'm getting chills again, because I was like, do you see this? To Tara Elizabeth. And I'm like, who's got us? Somebody does. What's going on? That's crazy to me. A total randomness delivered in a PO box. The third one, and this didn't hit me till after, I really articulated and lived into, as I was expressing earlier, the dream for the vision for the girls and I. High rise. And today it's called minimalism. We have what we need, or through the lens of Marie Kondo, we are clear about what brings us joy and what we find useful, and we don't have anything outside of that in our stuff existence. So when I got clear on that and I visualized high-rise condo, this, and then I was here touring, just after they built this place, I was here touring it, and they had 3 different options open: 801, unit 801, unit 1101, and 1701. And I wanted to be up real high because that was my vision. 1701. Both elevators were out, and they've never been out since. Just so you have frame. For whatever reason, both elevators weren't working. And I had to walk down from the 17th floor. And I was like, if I have to carry my girls for a fire or whatever,
Ooh.
that's not going to be fun. So I went down to 801. And then I got into the space that I'm in right now, and I have pictures of it, but it was all white, brand new, freshly built. And I walked through it, and I was like, this feels, and I went out in the back where I look out over this beautiful view, 8 stories up, with this beautiful park. And I was like, this is it. This is the place. And it wasn't until 1 month later that I realized 801 is my birthday. So it was like, bam, there's the numbers again, or the words. And I don't know how to describe it other than I felt, well before I realized 801 was my birthday, which I don't know why I didn't see because I'm a numbers guy. I just felt the connection to the place. Like if you were to say, if you believe in the soul saying, this is you, get it. That's what it said. And then I stepped into it, and then I made it mine through finally getting the visualization, the vision board. So these are big 3 serendipity stories. I have one more, but I wanted to reflect on those 3. Any thoughts, questions, insights?
I made a couple notes.
Okay.
One was chills.
Yeah.
When people say chills, I'm like, okay, make note of that. That's something extra special. Goosebumps right up there. And feels, when you said feels, because for me, I talk with people about the feeling when my kids went to college, or when people talk with me about going to college, I always talk about go to the place, make sure it feels right when you're there. So feel to me is a really big deal.
Yeah, I love that. So is it okay to tell one more?
Of course.
Yeah. So this one, keep in mind, I was in University of Michigan, January of 1990. And back then there wasn't like email, internet email wasn't a thing yet. You could email between people in a university through a text-based interface, typically just for the nerds in the world. Elm or Pine were these email, like today's Apple Mail or today's Microsoft Hotmail or whatever it is. That was the thing you did, but you did it a Unix prompt.
Oh yeah.
Like a DOS prompt.
I remember that.
Textual green screen with a black background. And I'm like sitting there in the computing lab, and little pre-frame to the story, I had, for the first time in my life, I had to retake a class from the first semester. And that was calculus. Because I did not listen to the counselor when I went from high school to the University of Michigan, who said, retake the same level of calculus you took in high school because they're going to bump it up. And you're going to have to get used to the way that they teach college. It's so much faster. And I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'll take the next one. But I needed a C or higher for my major, and I got a C- in calculus. Now, this comes from a guy who's getting almost all A's in high school. It was a major like, ugh. So I took, going back to what we talked about earlier, I took decisive action, and I retook in my January 1990, second semester, freshman year, I retook calculus. And I walk into the room, and I sit down, and then 2 seats over, a girl sits down. Later, I got to find out her name's Tara Elizabeth. So you see where this is going. But within a week, she said, I'm thinking of dropping this class because I don't see myself completing it. And we didn't talk much, but we did. And we were really, it felt better when we talked to each other, if that makes sense. And then the second week, I think it was that Friday, she came in and she said, I'm dropping this class, but I just came in to tell you, it was great to get to know you. And it was so fun to talk with you. And I just wanted to do the right thing here and just let you know you're not going to see me in here anymore. I'm like, oh, okay. It was great to get to know you too. And so her name was so easily for me to remember. I didn't know her middle name then. Tara Fox. Tara Fox, right? So 2 weeks later, I'm in the email system. And back then it was like, I get to send emails. I don't know anybody to send to. So I'm sending to my buddy, John, who we commute together. We're just goofing around, sending emails back and forth. And I'm like, who else do I know? Oh, Tara Fox, I'll just send her one. And I sent her an email, didn't hear anything back. And I didn't even know if that was the right person. The name's unique, but maybe it's not that unique. 3 weeks later, I get an email back. This is how thin the line was on that string of our relationship, right? I get an email back that says, I'm in my introduction to computer class, and we've checked the email for the first time today, and my computer dinged and nobody else's did because I didn't email in there from you. And everybody looked at me like, what'd you do? And the teacher says, oh, no, she's already got an email. And it was from you. And we stirred up an email conversation that ended up us going to coffee a couple of weeks later, ended up us dating, ended up us getting married, ended up that we created a business in 1995 that brought email to the masses. That's like, whoa. Our relationship maybe would have run into each other. You never know the way the universe works. But our relationship was closed essentially because she quit class, and I didn't have her number or anything, but I just had this pop an email. Just so you know, I still have all those emails. And my girls and I haven't shown them to the girls, but that's the whole relationship of us in the first few months.
Oh, that's so fun.
Isn't it interesting that we reflected back on that? You know, it was literally 5 years later, we create a business that brings email and internet access to literally thousands. And when we tell the story, it's like our relationship was by all means done till I sent this just off email because I could remember her name. I didn't have any intention, just so you know, of like dating or anything. I was just like, I don't know anybody except these three people, like my buddy John, my other buddy that was in my math class, and her. I'm just going to send them emails. This is cool. I love email. Back then, I loved email. So, any thoughts, takeaways, insights? I'd love to hear anything.
Oh, it's the planting of seeds. It's just taking that one step that you have no idea where it's going to lead you.
Yeah.
And you take that one step, and that's all you need. It's like driving with your headlights at night. You only need to see so far, and things start showing up for you. When I talk with people about their dreams and serendipity, I first talk about their past and how you look at your past and you can connect these pivotal moments, I call pivot points, to get you where you are right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I can see why I'm here because I connect these dots from the past. And as people go look to the future, I say connect the moments of serendipity and let those pivot points shift you a little bit, because the dream you have is one thing. But as a friend of mine taught me, and this was one of those angels and heroes moments where the person steps in your life and they kind of leave you with one phrase. A friend of mine taught me, when you pray for something, pray for that or better, so you don't limit God. So I always think,
I love that. That's gold.
And don't limit the dream, because those pivot points can take you to a place better than you ever imagined. So you just need a vision to help you move forward and then see where the universe takes you.
It's so true. Can I share one takeaway from what you just shared and what I've come to terms with? There's been things in the last year, but for so many people, including me, where I'm like, oh, that's not going to be fun. Oh, how's that going to work out? And the old me would have dipped into fear. The old me would have dipped into scarcity. The old me would have dipped into neutral negative mindset. And I have one phrase that helps me through it. The universe has always taken care of me till now. Why would it change? Just saying that gets me in a positive belief expectation about the future. And it seems to work itself out. You know, it's just the phrasing and the way that we think about and where we can spend time. I love the idea of assuring that we're all clear on the fact that we have a finite number of breaths, a finite number of heartbeats, a finite number of days. We don't know what those are left in our lives. And every breath I take and every heartbeat that my beautiful heart pumps, I want to make sure it's of a positive frame, or if there's any neutral or negativity, that doesn't last for more than 3 breaths. So we teach this in high performance, have great themes that course correct when I sense fear, scarcity, those kinds of things. And it comes from what you've just shared, these seeds that were planted and the serendipity of the way the universe is just served over the years, and paying attention to that and having a fondness for it. So thank you for bringing that up.
Well, I remember talking with you with my company when I was financially very challenged. And I kept talking with you, Charlie. I'm like, I'm doing this. And you would talk with me about, Linda, there's this needy energy that you have, and it's coming across. So I would basically talk with people, and it was almost as if I had dollar signs in my eyes. Here, I can help you. I have all this training. I can help you go to your next level of success.
Yeah.
And you were educating me on how to let that go. And the way I let it go was completely unexpected. For me, when COVID hit, it was my business was doing less. I was doing less training and speaking and coaching. And I took on a job. And now I run blood drives and teach people the importance of blood donation. And I've taken that, which now has turned into a mission for me.
Yeah.
And once I received some of those paychecks, took the financial stress away, and my business, my Get Your Better On business, my Serendipity Stories business has taken off in a way that it never did before, because now I'm doing it from a different place. And for years, you tried to teach me how to change my energy.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to do it. And that's that try word, because try means you don't really get anything done.
Yeah.
It was major change that I needed to make in order to change the way I feel.
Yeah.
And that gave out a different energy. So that was amazing coaching from you, for me, for my business.
Thank you so much. And I just love what you just shared, because what it sounds like is you went from a place of scarcity and urgency,
Yes.
which is great in marketing, by the way, from a place of online sales copy and pages. But at a psychological level, it can bring neediness. And I got to convert this, which makes it less about the other person and their desired outputs, outcomes, and acknowledging of their struggles. And you switch to a place of abundance. Hey, I'm good. And it happened as a side benefit of you getting your mission work, your job. And now it's just like, I do this too. You do. Tell me about it. And you can just sense the difference from the inside out. You're in alignment with that. It's not coming from the dollar signs in the eyes perspective. It's coming from, I can't wait to just have the discovery call with you or have the strategy session with you. We'll just see where that goes.
Right.
There's not the neediness for the conversion. And it's very apparent in those words. So thank you so much for the compliment. But also, I want to compliment you. You got this dialed in, and you've grown so much in the last few years. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Well, I am all about connections, and anyone that meets me knows the importance of connections and the importance of me connecting you with the people that I know, the skills that I want to share, the things that are going to bring out the best in you. So, Charly, I'm so glad that you joined me today. I was thrilled to share you and our serendipity moments with everyone, and let them know that the universe is conspiring for your good, as we have heard said before. And just keep searching, keep moving forward to those moments of serendipity to point you to your future. So, Charly, what would you like people to know about you and how you help people?
So the number one thing is that the way I think about life today is that we're in motion for leaving legacy. And something that came to me in the last couple of years is legacy is through generations. So when I think about what I do to help people, it's help them live purposefully, passionately, have an emotional engagement connection, positively, bring the joy. Remember the heartbeats, the breaths, finite. Let's just reduce the amount that are negative or neutral, stressing, and go for the positive. And then live productively towards our life's ambitions, presuming that we've spent the time to think about what we want to accomplish on this planet before our time's through. And if it matters, some people it does, some people it doesn't, to live profitably too. Those are my 5 Ps. But towards the idea of leaving and living into a legacy. It's the idea that we're able to live that life from a higher place and then do stuff that we love. So many people, they're in the trenches of their work, they can't see that. My job is to help them transcend. So that's what I want to make sure I leave, is that if you need help improving your life, growing a profitable, purposeful business, I'm here for you. Thank you so much for letting me share that and for being in this moment and sharing these beautiful serendipity stories too.
Thank you, Charly. So great to see you.
So great to see you. Have a great one. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Serendipity Stories with Linda Fitzgerald. To learn more about Charly, there's a link below. And also below, there's a link for you to learn more about Serendipity Stories.